What's up, bros and hoes, whatever floats your goat? It's your boy Relentless, and today I'm bringing you yet another Division video. And today I'll be going over what I feel is, in my opinion, uh, what I will proceed to start out with as far as gear wise and setups going into 1.6 as soon as it drops. And now that the PTS is over, it shouldn't be long before 1.6 drops. As you can see, we are in the Relentless Pharmacy. I give you all your daily advice on all your builds, tricks, tips, and trades. And also can write you prescriptions on manning up, how to shimmy and shake in the DZ when PvPing, or anything and everything. Even if you need to lay down on the couch and have a therapy session, I am here just for you. But we are still in 1.5, and this is a 1.5 build, but this is a build that I created that will carry over into 1.6 that I plan on using. So let's get right into it. But first, I don't plan on using the fire turret, so we'll change that. I'll be running Pulse with this build. And as you can see, it is a all high end. I deem it the Super Saiyan. And yes, I'm running what I call the best SMG, in my opinion, in the game as we go into 1.6, which is the SMG9. Which is, there are others that can compete with it, such as the MP7 that has more burst damage, but when it comes to sustainable damage with adequate damage, my go-to is the SMG9. But don't sleep on the other ones. The MP5 is another favorite of mine, and even the PP19. Because with the PP19, you don't necessarily need an extended mag. You can find a heavy magazine that has at least 10% rate of fire with crit chits and crit damage, and it also will come in very nice and handy. So let's get right on into it. I am running just a simple Vigorous Vest. We know that the armor that's in the major attribute, that will be transferred over into health. And then I have exotic damage resilience on there, as far as the reason that being, I'd already previously rolled it, but I want to keep that on there just for the Seeker Mines. And we know there's going to be tons of those in 1.6. But I have a very good roll in the stamina at 1260. And then my mod slides 256 firearms and another 247 firearms, and then those armors will be carried over as health. Because even though right now armor is calculated into toughness and the same scale, it may say armor, but then you can put health there, and you can pretty much sum up that that'll be the same amount of toughness that you'll have as your health pool. As you can see, I do have a Barrett's chest piece. It's not a very good one. It has a low base armor roll on it and only 1188 firearms. And I haven't been able to get into another session of running Lexington to find a better one. As far as going to the mask, I got a great base armor roll at 1,000. As far as it goes, it's 1,001, and it is the Tenacious Mask. One of the better masks out there. Especially if you are a damage build, DPS, and like to run and gun more or less, then I suggest go with a Tenacious Mask. Also, if you have a refreshed mask, that also works. And these things can be interchangeable and intertwined, depending on your playstyle. And also another good mask would be the Pharaoh's Mask for all those pesky flame turrets out there. But there are ways to combat those flame turrets and status effects without having to go with one of those masks. Because you can actually use a candy bar that will take away the status effects. Medkits will take away status effects now 1.6. And also you can cleanse yourself with your overheal. But as you can see, I got crit chance rolled on it, and the minor attributes, I would rather have something on the lines of enemy armor damage, but this disorient resistant comes in just fine. Now, moving on to the gloves. fairly decent roll on the Skull MC gloves at 988, and once again, it only goes to 1001. And its talent is damage increased by 16% when no gear set bonuses are active. And as you can see, I have SMG damage, crit hit chance, and crit hit damage with a 1200 firearms. It had pistols damage on it, and I'd rather it be SMG damage because I am more or less an SMG player. I prefer SMGs over all other weapon types. And it's at least 1200. That is the bare minimum that I will actually carry on a piece. Now, if it was like 1121, then I would just chunk it and then go farm for something else, such as this Skull MC gloves I have down here. As you can see, it has SMG damage, crit hit damage, and crit hit chance. But, even if you sell it, it will not give you any funds because the name gear will come up free, that's completely ironic, and I don't understand. It's actually a named gear piece, so it should sell for more than just a regular 256 piece of gear, but yet you go try to sell it and it'll say absolutely free. So basically, you're just giving it away. But moving on, and this is another area to where you can mix and match. You can run a sturdy holster. Since it'll be becoming more of a cover-based, Deadeye is making a major comeback, and it is going to be an awesome build. With using assault rifles. So when it comes to going in and out of cover, bobbing and weaving, especially if an enemy is downrange, taking pop shots at you with a marksman rifle using Deadeye, it'll be very deadly and lethal. So you will have to utilize cover as your advantage and work your way up to that person, so that way they can be easily melted. Because the closer you are, the closer they get melted. So I recommend Steadfast. Health regeneration kicks in twice as fast while in cover. I run in a 4-man squad, and as we all know, there's going to be many tactician builds and a reclaimer healer build, which is what I call a paladin build. So if you're running in a group that is running a reclaimer build with the support stations and whatnot, I recommend using a Steadfast holster, because when you reach that last health segment, your health regeneration kicks in twice as fast, and if you're in that immunizer, then it helps your survivability, and you survive much longer. Now, the knee pads, there's really not any great knee pads. I have farmed the medical center so many times looking for short bow, but at this current state, I got a good pair of Spec Ops knee pads that has accomplished, which rewards from accolades are tripled. I have been running the incursions over and over and over, and I can honestly say that my rewards have not been tripled. They might have been doubled, but it's basically been nothing but rubbish as far as attachments and just a bunch of nonsense and performance mods that I no longer need. But in the minor attributes, disrupt resistance, shock resistance, and once again, increased kill XP, just because I'm running these before I get the short bow knee pads. I promise you, I will have those short bow knee pads before 1.6 drops. But with the increased kill XP, if you have a build that you can stack as much as that on as possible and go farm those weekly assignment caches, be sure to stock them up, because it has a chance when 1.6 drops to give you an exotic item out of those caches. Now moving on to the backpack, no surprise here. Specialized backpack, 1245 as its main stat in firearms. And the good thing is, when it comes to specialized, it's going to come in quite nice and handy when 1.6, because as we all know, skill power is going to play an even more factor into whatever builds that you decide to build, because you can't more or less just stack on nothing but firearms, because that's going to leave you vulnerable, because your electronics is directly going to scale with your heals. And with the cooldowns on your heals and the cooldowns on your med kits, basically if you spec nothing into skill power, you may deal a lot of damage, and you may sneak up on one and get an enemy down, another agent, but more or less, unless you're with a group, you're not going to survive whatsoever unless you're hip-hugging your Paladin Reclaimer build that's in your group, so that way you can get the hills off them, which is not a bad idea. But when it comes to composition of a team, that's not necessarily the way to go in a composition of a team with four, because you each have a role, and you're pretty much just going to be a damage dealer, but you're going to be the weak link because you're basically going to have to stay in cover the whole entire time, because with all these other builds and your toughness being, whatever the case may be, getting melted down, but not having the skill power to sustain your life, you're just going to become more of a liability. Now, when I chose to set up this build, I'm using this one as more or less a crit build. As you can see, my SMG9 has 331.6 DPS. It is putting out 20.1k. Self-preserved, vicious, and fierce. In the magazine, 103. Crit hit damage, crit hit chance. And then in my small optics, I have crit hit damage, crit hit chance, and headshot damage. You can opt in for more crit hit chance, but I chose to spec into crit hit damage because even if you capped out a crit hit chance and you have very low crit hit damage, then it's not really going to be that effective. And then in my small muzzle, I have a Tyrant Suppressor with 7.5% crit hit chance, 5.5% headshot damage, crit hit damage, and 47% reduced threat. Now let's go look at the character sheet of this SMG9. As you can see, before any other pulse or anything else, I am critting at 38% with 102% crit hit damage. Now keep in mind, when 1.6 drops, SMGs... Hey, what's up, Snake DTS? How's it going? We'll play with you in a second. When 1.6 drops, crit hit chance will be added back onto SMGs. So I think the cap around the crit hit chance on SMG is, if I'm not mistaken, is around 20 to 22%. So let's just say, let's give it a low point of crit hit chance. Let's say I got 18% crit hit chance on my SMG. That's going to put me up at 56% crit hit chance on my SMG. And then I necessarily don't have to use pulse. Somebody else in my group can run conceal, a pulse, and then I'm going to hit my cap. So basically, 60% of the time, my bullets are going to be critting. And as you can see, that is why I spec'd into self-preserve. Crit hit chance with this weapon heals the user for 3% of damage dealt. So the more damage I deal out, in turn, I'm gaining health. And also, if you synchronize it correctly with your booster shot, along with your tenacious mask, where you're getting all this damage buff, this is a complete damage dealer when it comes to the SMG9. Now, moving on to my secondary, I opted in for the high-end G36C. It comes in at 21.5k damage. It has brutal, destructive, and focused. Now, if I had an option, I would roll off focus for something else. When no skills are on cooldown, your weapon damage is increased by 10%. This only comes into play and is effective if you're the one starting off first and foremost, getting in the first shots when going into battle, either against other agents or NPCs or whatnot, and making sure that your skills are not on cooldown. Especially if you're running with a healer build, you can stand within that and take the health that's coming off your self-preserved when you're critting other agents or whatnot to get that health, so that way you don't have to actually use your health. Your overheal or your booster shot, you can just pop a med kit that gives you extra damage, and so on and so forth. So when it comes to these builds, be sure to put a lot of time, effort, and thought into creating something very versatile and viable, based on your particular playstyle and also based on the other agents that you will be playing with. Now, I recommend at least one healer build, tac build, whichever the case may be, preferably healer build, reclaimer build in your squad, maybe a balanced build along the lines of a DPS somewhat build, and then a tactician build, so that way you can simultaneously get their booster shots from them, and then you can put up them dreadful seeker mines, or even a firecrest build, and that way you have a turret out there as well to deter those agents from coming in. But make sure, get used to bouncing from cover to cover and moving from cover to cover as you advance on builds and agents that are using an optimized Deadeye build, so that way you don't get one shot or downed very easily. So you want to keep that in mind. But If you're looking for a damage crit build, this is the build that I suggest that you put together and go for. Um, it still has, you know, some improvements here and there. Um, as you can see, going through my weapons, I do have an M870 Express with brutal, vicious, and responsive that can come in nice and handy. I also have a military M870 at 169k. Yes, shotguns can play a major factor, and it comes with unforgiving, responsive, and I haven't rolled off Predatory yet because I just picked it off a boss. And this is my bad boy at 171k, and it does damage. It one-shots NPCs with brutal, destructive, and unforgiving. And then if I choose to go with another SMG, I have an MP5 with responsive, deadly, and vicious. The infamous MP7 that's right up there in the front running of the top 5 SMGs. You can check out that video that I previously posted about SMGs in 1.6, and it comes with vicious, brutal, and responsive. I also picked up the Pecan. If you haven't picked up the Pecan in the base operations, I recommend that you do so. Get all the named weapons as possible. As you can see, it does 22.2k, and it comes with swift, destructive, and fierce. And then if I want a little more faster of a punch and get off a lot more shots and headshots, and also I have this sausage here with self-preserved, unforgiving, and competent. And finally, I have a showstopper, which is a complete disaster. I finally got one. Trying to get another Barrett's chest piece in Lexington, and it gives me the showstopper. But it has responsive, swift, and showstopper, which is I don't plan on ever really using unless I'm running more or less a striker build or a predator build. But instead, I would rather choose to go with the sausage just because the base damage is a lot better. But this is the build that I'll be starting out 1.6 with. Let me know what builds you have been working on and that you're planning on starting 1.6 with, and what is your ideas. I pretty much have every gear set out there. My whole stash box is completely full. Every single character is completely full. As I'll show you in my inventory, I have tons of everything known to man, and I'm running completely out of room for everything. And this is just one of many characters. So be sure to stock up on anything and everything. Be sure to check out the base armor rolls on each individual piece, because that is definitely going to play a factor. Your mask, your gloves, it goes to 1,001, so make sure you get as high as possible on that. And just hold on to them. Don't roll a thing. Save your weekly assignment cache so that way you can get an exotic out of them when 1.6 drops. And appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for your support. And I'm going to start a new series of doing shout out Sundays. So if you like to be shouted out on the channel to possibly gain support and more views for your channel, then all you have to do is hit the patron link in the description section below. Become a patron, and you will get a weekly shout out as long as you're a patron on my channel every single week as a perk. Also, I will put your name in the ending credits and also in the description. So be sure to check that out if you're an upcoming YouTuber and like me myself, but I'm slowly growing, but I'm getting there. But if you're just starting out and you only have like 100 to 150 views and would like, you know, more support, more shout outs, then that is an option for you. And also be sure to check out Control Freak. If you want to up your gaming experience, make your accuracy 100 times better, and take off some stress of your thumbsticks to make your controller last a lot longer, check out the link below. Control Freak. Great product, and it will prolong the life of your joysticks, whether it be on Xbox or PS4. They come in multiple varieties, multiple colors, whether it's concave, curved, domed, different textures, or whatever the case may be. Great products. But anyways, this is your boy Relentless, and we'll see you guys.
I got broads in Atlanta, just to lean the family. Credit cards in the scammers, hitting the licks in the van.